The fight between Boeing and the Obama administration escalating tonight. The dispute is over a new airplane factory in South Carolina, a right-to-work state where unions don't rule. But the White House says Boeing is retaliating against organized labor by not building all the new planes at the union-controlled factories in Washington state. Joining me now, the person playing a pivotal role in all of this, South Carolina's Attorney General Alan Wilson. Alan, great to see you again.
Same here. Good to see you.
All right. Well, Senator Harry Reid had something to say about this today. He says you're fighting this because you're anti-union. Is that what's going on here?
I'm supporting a company that actually added 2,000 union jobs in Everett, Washington. So I don't see how that's anti-union. Actually, I'm pro-jobs. You know, South Carolina got 1,000 jobs and $1 billion worth of money coming into our state because of a company like Boeing. So we're supporting the creation of jobs, not the destruction of the free market system.
Yesterday, you said this: the NLRB's complaint against Boeing makes union states the economic development equivalent of a roach motel. You can check in, but you can't check out. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is you know, this is going to have a chilling effect on businesses who want to move to union states. This actually could hurt union states worse than right-to-work states. Yes, if you're a business and you're currently in a union state, you may not want to move to a right-to-work state out of fear of being retaliated against by the National Labor Relations Board or your union. But if you're in another state, a right-to-work state, or even outside of our country, and you're looking at this right now, you're saying, if I go to that union state, I may not be able to ever leave or even expand my business beyond the borders without fear of retaliation from the union. I've actually heard from members when I was at the U.S. Chamber yesterday in Washington, D.C., that we're hearing that the international business community is watching this case right now, and they're very concerned about the economic and business climate in the United States. This is going to have a chilling effect on businesses wanting to move to union states.
Well, you know, it's interesting what you say, because ironically, Boeing could have taken these jobs overseas. It might have been easier to do that, I don't know, but they chose not to do that, and now they're being penalized.
Absolutely. And there's one other thing that came out yesterday, and this is a good point. I was speaking with Senator Graham, and he made this point. The President's Chief of Staff, Bill Daley, was on the Boeing board when it voted unanimously 2 years ago to move Boeing, or excuse me, expand Boeing to South Carolina. So what I want to know is, the President's Chief of Staff someone who violated the National Labor Relations Act and actually hurt a union? So, I mean, we want the President to speak out on this. We understand the White House won't get involved on an independent agency decision, but the White House should speak out on things that could hurt jobs, and this will hurt jobs, and we want to see our administration, our federal government, speak out in favor of jobs, and we're not hearing that right now.
Well, they are conspicuous by their silence right now, that's for sure. I want you to respond to something the CEO of Boeing had to say today. He says, and this was in an op-ed from the Wall Street Journal, do you agree that the NLRB is a fundamental assault on American capitalism? The words here: America's competitiveness since it began the world's largest economy nearly 140 years ago. Interesting op-ed. What is your reaction to it?
If the question is whether or not the NLRB is bad for the economy, then my answer is yes.
All right. Well, that was pretty straightforward. You know, people who disagree with you, sir, though, include Harry Reid in the White House, who say the NLRB is completely independent. Do you agree with them?
Well, first off, I was reading Senator Harkin, U.S. Senator, made a comment yesterday that this is about CEOs trying to hurt the middle class. What about the 1,000 workers in South Carolina, middle-class workers working at Boeing right now that were hired? What about the 2,000 middle-class union members up in the Puget Sound who were hired by Boeing since this expansion? What about those workers? You know, there's been no harm to this union who's bringing this complaint whatsoever. They have actually grown their numbers. The action that they're bringing right now will ultimately diminish their numbers in the long run, and it's going to hurt jobs. Who is this hurting? This hurts the small person. This isn't about the big corporate CEOs. Whether you're Boeing or you're president of Bubba's Feed and Seed, if you're trying to grow your business, this is going to have a profound impact on your decision making if you can't make a decision without getting permission from the unions.
Alan, thanks for coming back. Good to see you. We're going to continue to follow this story and see if you say whether it has legs and impacts other companies as well. Thank you.
Thank you.